Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Refagita Friskova from class D semester 2. Now I'm here to tell about my opinion of the Asia Africa's Conference and the date execution. I was reading about the news of Indonesia as a pioneer in Asia Africa's Conference. It's so amazing for me when I knew that my country was being a pioneer, and I want to talk about my opinion from this news. As we knew, Asia Africa's Conference was held in Bandung on April 2015. When Asia's Africa Conference are usually called with KAA, is hot, Bandung became a good place, especially in Asia Africa Street. There were so many lamps in the garden of Alun-Alun Bandung, and there were so many beautiful ornaments around the street, like Braga Street and the other street, especially around the KAA building. I really glad to saw how beautiful Bandung is, especially in the night. There was so no trash, and the streets are clean. I think it is maybe because the Asia Africa's Conference was held in Bandung, so Ridwan Kamil decided that he must to repair Bandung, especially the street around the KAA buildings. KAA is not a small event. That was a big event and the important event for Asia and Africa to make a good relationship between each other. So it's really proud of me when I knew that Indonesia was a pioneer of KAA. Maybe Indonesia is the first country that decided to make a conference which can be make the other countries, especially the countries in Asia and Africa, being together as one. In my mind, if Indonesia was a pioneer in KAA, so it's mean that Indonesia had important part in KAA. But there was some bad attitudes from Indonesia citizens, actually from the Bandung's people, who didn't be responsible. They had to destroy the ornaments of the symbol of KAA, which was building around the KAA buildings. Like the big globe, there was consist of the names of the countries from Asia to Africa, or the chair in the garden at Alun-Alun Bandung had been destroyed by them. The attitude, like I told before, was really embarrassing. That can make the other countries think that the Indonesia citizens were not caring at all. It can make Indonesia have a bad perspective in the other country mind. Indonesia citizens should have to keep the image of Indonesia in the world minds. So when there was a big event like KAA, Indonesia citizens, especially the Bandung's people, have to keep the event to successful, because being a pioneer is not a small thing, but it was a big accomplishment for Indonesia. So I remind all of the citizens to be proud of Indonesia, because Indonesia had a big accomplishment for being a pioneer in KAA. The other country in Asia or Africa maybe not yet become a pioneer in KAA. At least Indonesia had to always improve the effort to can reach the other accomplishment for some years later, and I hope Indonesia still being a pioneer in KAA. Now, the next opinion is about the deed execution. Deed execution. I watched in the television about two people that got the death execution because of they sold the drug and they were making a drug too. My opinion about this news is I really agree with this punishment. I think the people who made drugs and sold it must get a serious punishment, because the people who were making drugs and sold the drugs will have been inflict a financial loss for the other people around them. But I didn't agree if the people who used the drugs was got the deed execution too, because I think the people who used the drugs was not a criminal, but they were a sacrifice. The people who use the drugs should go to the rehabilitation, and they must took care by a psychologist. The people who use the drugs must be given some solution for their habits of use drugs. Because I knew the people who use the drugs, or we usually call drugs addict, were consumed drugs because they had a bad life, like broken home life or bad social intercourse. The drugs addict think that when they consume drugs, their problem will more easily to face, but they didn't know that they were wrong. The drugs just made them more had a complicated life than before. So I think they have to go to the rehabilitation, but not a death punishment. The drugs addict and the seller of the drug was really different. The seller of the drugs, or people who made a drug, was not a drug addict yet. There are so many proof that say that the drug seller or the drugs maker are not consume the drug that they sold or they made. So it's time to initiate to take an action to face this problem. As I knew, the drugs maker or the drug seller is mostly didn't come from Indonesia but from abroad. They usually come from Malaysia, Singapore, or American. Indonesia should to investigate or check every tourist who want to come to Indonesia. That could prevent the bad things that we didn't want, like the tourists who brought some drugs in the bag but not realized by the official in the airport or the other places. Indonesia have to improve the regulation for the drug seller and the drugs maker if in the high punishment. I think Indonesia have to do it. The important thing is Indonesia have to become good country without drugs. Last part is I hope Indonesian people will not interest again with the drugs, so we can make our country become a best country in the world who didn't use drugs. And because of that, I hope all of the people in Indonesia will work together to completely remove the drugs from our country. Okay, I think enough from me. That's all my opinion about the Asia Africans Conference and about the deed execution. I hope Indonesia will be a good country, and I hope Indonesia can improve the quality than the countries sorry, I mean than the other countries in the world. And the last, I want to say thank you for watching me, and thank you for listen my video. Um, Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bye bye.